Very much, Steadfast, and this is going to be a very epic and awesome series. I'm definitely looking forward to this, and of course, I already mentioned, joined by Zombie Garb. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Analyst, you're clear.
Awesome. Like, I mean, we get to watch NA StarCraft. We get to see some of the best players in all of North America compete against each other, and this first match is such a doozy. The analyst desk already talked a lot about some of the highlights and how this can be a really awesome series. And I think I really want to key in on something that Steadfast said, which is MaSa on a home field advantage. That Toronto MaSa experience is completely different than anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, he has historically had some really good results here. Of course, it's home field advantage for both of them.
That's
I mean,
true.
That's also Canadian. So I think I agree with most of the guys on the analyst desk that, like, it's not a desk, is it? Analyst lounge, I suppose.
The couch.
Yeah, the couch. There you go. That's a good one. Then I think Scarlett will take it. But funnily enough, both of these guys aren't exactly, with BlizzCon coming up, the top 16 have already been decided for the year. They'll be not training as hard as they once were, right? Back when they were getting those WCS points. So it's kind of funny. I don't know if they're both at the top of their game, but they both are at the top of the game. So I really wonder what these games are even going to look like. Is it just going to be like the old standard for both of them? I mean, Scarlett's usually kind of weird, but MaSa's been playing some mech. Maybe he's still trying that out. Like, who knows?
MaSa's also such a player that will love getting in your head. He loves messing with you. I know Jake was talking about this earlier. That's just his style. And Scarlett, like you said, she is historically also known for having two styles of play. She will either play as perfectly as possible, or she will end up just going full no regret and do absolute madness on every single game. You have no idea what to expect. So that'll also be a really interesting thing to see. What does Scarlett decide to do versus MaSa? Yeah,
I mean, saying that she was full no regret, I guess so. Of course, a lot of inspiration also came from Bly at one point, like, early on, Legacy of the Void especially. And certainly she'll just throw out any type of cheese that has existed these past few years. I guess Legacy of the Void's been on almost 2 years at this point. But, like, yeah, Roach Ravager rushing, proxy hatching, like anything really, she can definitely do. But, of course, solid macro game to back that up.
Oh, man, this is going to be such a cool series. And, of course, for those who don't know and haven't followed the history of Kings of the North, these are two former Kings of the North champions. MaSa took the very first one, which is an online tournament, and he also took the offline second one. But Scarlett was able to take the most recent one, the third one. Only one player can come out victorious on this one, Jess.
Yeah, but both of these guys have a solid chance, I suppose, to continue on to the finals. Again, of course, there's that losers bracket that either one of them could be sent down to fight their way back and have a rematch in the grand finals. I mean, but there is, of course, Neeb. That's kind of in the way.
There is Neeb. He is, in a sense, the elephant in the room right now, as he is considered unbelievably strong right now, of course, being one of the players that's going to BlizzCon, and people expect him to potentially be the furthest reaching foreigner at BlizzCon. So now coming to this event, this is like his warm-up round in a lot of ways. Like, okay, let's trash some of these NA players, including like Scarlett, who's almost like a mentor to him.
Yeah, almost, yeah. But, like, it's casting him in some other online tournaments or even Kings of the North, the way up here basically in the Swiss brackets. It's kind of one of those things where I feel like maybe for him, like, any loss would actually be disastrous. He's going to go up against 15 of the world's best coming BlizzCon, and to lose against some people I guess didn't make it to BlizzCon, like, what does that really mean? Even if it's only 1 or 2 games, like, the ideal situation for that guy is going to be actually just 3-0, 3-0.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of funny also because in Kings of the North, we've already seen Neeb drop some maps. He dropped a map to Puck earlier on in a really awesome PvP. Puck, another player that I think has been doing much better lately. But still, it's like you were saying, these small little opportunities. You see that there are these chances that Neeb, despite being a huge favorite in this tournament, is capable of losing to a lot of these players.
It's true, yeah. Puck has definitely, like, increased his, like, I guess, his mentality, and in doing so has actually been able to take games in those best of series. But okay, Neeb, like, flubs once or twice, but he's still polishing it off.
Peely,
yeah,
those were some games.
Those are some really weird games. So I mean, hey, in the past, Neeb is actually known as one of his biggest weaknesses to be playing against weird styles, right? And that was a huge weakness that everyone knew and everyone tried to abuse. It's not really the Neeb we see anymore, but obviously the Kings of the North Swiss group didn't happen that long ago. So I mean, it's still something to consider, I suppose, as we get into the next couple coming games. Of course, he's going to be playing in the other winners match
versus Jon Snow, which will be a very fun match. It's also interesting to note that, Neeb, we've talked about a lot of his history coming up. In my mind, Kings of the North was actually one of the first places he really came up. But okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about Neeb another time because we got this guy down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. It's the blue Terran player. Give it up for
OSC Pro MaSa.
Go ahead. Sip. MaSa.
And spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the pink Zerg player. Put your hands together for
Scarlett.
You guys won't be able to hear it, but it's that player.
And of course, big shout out to Rocket Raccoon. Of course, as a demolition man, it's going to always be causing problems. I'm just kidding. He's actually providing coverage for, I believe, another language. Much love to that.
Yes. I'm not sure which one, but it looks like he's going to have to drop out. Usually it runs past that 10-second time, and you're like, okay, that guy's he's going to drop out. There's no saving him.
Take a lesson from Semper and drop.
Oh, I was wrong. Got 20 seconds on it.
All right. Well, the game begins. Our first game of Kings of the North. This is definitely going to be awesome. And what do you feel like we might be seeing? Because again, like both of these players are so capable of a pretty wide range of things.
Yeah, I actually brought up mech briefly, and I kind of want to hit more on that because, of course, in Scarlett, everyone knows Scarlett can do some weird things. She has a lot of different styles. You know, even sometimes bringing up mutas again to surprise your opponents when you're really Link Bang Hydra is a more popular thing to do. But MaSa is the guy that, yeah, he's always had everything in his back pocket. You know, he's always such a solid player mechanically, like mentality-wise when he actually is in the games, and he could do anything. But, you know, recently in Montreal, we saw him attempt to do mech, and then we saw a couple other mech games past that in the last month or so, where I'm just really curious if he's continuing to try and improve that style of play, you know, innovation senpai, please, kind of deal, or what, or are they just going to go back to bio? Because honestly, when we saw him do mech, I believe we both cast that, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't really that convincing. We kind of both wanted him to go back to the bio with all the drops.
Yeah, you know, I feel like whenever I've seen... Okay, well, you know, I don't know if we'll get to the point where we get to see mech, because Scarlett going for the proxy hatchery right now might be catching MaSa off guard. Reaper's going to be moving down. We'll see if it immediately just moves straight across the map, as this is a pretty interesting proxy location as well. It's going to be pretty hard for MaSa to immediately scout out.
Yeah, of course, proxy hatch is... funny as it is, and as well known as I guess she technically is for it, it's still something only thrown out maybe once in a best of series, if that, like once every so.
It's like once every 50 games, I feel like.
Maybe that's a better way to put it, sure. But like she'll definitely do it once or twice in an entire tournament. So to just like come out of here, like start things off with a bang, might be a little bit of surprise. He's going to see the lack of the hatchery right now, and of course get back home.
Yeah, and of course now MaSa should have some idea of what's going to be coming, and he's throwing down that factory. He's going up for the reactor on the barracks, but the most important thing is that he's reacting by getting up that bunker. He's going to be able, I believe, to finish up that command center to the natural. He needs to finish that up, otherwise he's going to have to cancel it.
He's not even trying to. He just assumes there'd be more Lings on the way to kill the SIVs he would send down, but that's actually a big misstep. He's going to, as you said, have to cancel that command center. Now he tries to, but a queen of all things is going to be the one that denies him.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit too difficult, and this is going to be a huge sunk cost investment right now. Sure, it's going to buy a little bit of time by just, I guess, occupying the roaches and the queen right now, but they weren't really going to be moving up until the Ravagers were been made, and they can bust down that supply depot as well as the bunker.
Yeah. Honestly, that thing probably is going to stay at like 95% before it died. Killing the Overlord actually be huge. Queen definitely not enough DPS to stop that from happening, and now no high ground vision.
Oh god, and the last Marine getting locked out of his main base for a moment, does get it back in there. He's going to be able to make some more Marines, but was that worth it, Zombie Garb? He loses so many Marines and so much firepower to try and push this back.
Unfortunately, a lot of Zerg players do have those two ready to rock and roll, which just brings the other one forward, but generally, if that is the only Overlord in proximity, it is absolutely worth it. Take away that high ground vision, but she already had the second one prepped, and that still leaves him in a bit of a pickle.
Ooh.
I think that I feel like he should be really quite fine, though, unless he, loses that Cyclone.
Oh, yeah, getting really close, and it looks like these couple of explosive vials will take out two of the supply depots, supply blocking him by a good bit right now, especially since that command center never finished up earlier. He's really hurting in terms of supply, and this is going to cut into production for a while. And that also hurts because he basically has one Marine and one or a couple of Marines and one Cyclone out.
Yeah, 3 Marines. I don't know about the third command center here. Certainly there's a point where you just got to say, like, okay, I think I've got this, and they might even macro behind it, as rare as that is maybe when they proxy hatch, but it's like a little bit dangerous because he really had no other production for a while. You know, again, no second Cyclone, which again, it almost dies. Tank is helpful as long as you keep it back far enough they can't Corrosive Violet, and then you can slowly leapfrog forward, but it's a long process, and Scarlett, of course, going for a creep spread, already has quite a lot of them.
Yeah, bunker is also going to go down on the high ground. This is actually really cutting into MaSa's ability to defend over here. With no more bunkers, he has to pull the SCVs to try and defend. Ravagers being more straight in front of MaSa, and there we go. GG, it's called Scarlett takes the first game at Kings of the North.
It's some serious deja vu.
I mean, we were talking about how Scarlett is known for playing those two different styles, and I guess we get to see what style Scarlett feels is the best to try and handle MaSa. Just take him out nice and easy very early on. Don't even let him get into that mech style or even bio style later on.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, reason I got to be deja vu here is I feel like this is not the first time that I've seen MaSa in particular, but also like, I mean, any Terran really kind of underestimate that they will in fact try and bust you. You know, you think that they might go home, have that hatchery already building. Yeah. But she saw the opportunity, right? Like, you really aren't producing anything. Like, there's not even any more Marines coming in here. You lifted the barracks off the reactor. You let me into your base. Like, of course, I'm going to try it eventually, bring those queens forward. So, as I said, like, I was already hesitant at the third command center. There was seriously no production for MaSa, and MaSa must have just thought she would never try it.
Yeah, and I wonder if the third CC was almost a reaction because when he lost the supply depots, I guess I'm trying to remember if he built a third CC before or after.
Before.
It may have been before, yeah. So maybe he was just saying like, oh, well, I'm going to get supply blocks or something. Yeah. So these will provide supply and also be a way to spend the minerals. I'm not entirely sure. The long con. There we go.
Long con.
But either way, MaSa is going to have to find some sort of answer. Because the thing about Scarlett is, like, you don't really know if she's going to just cheese you out again or do something funky, whether it be the same build or just something totally different that's all in-ish.
Yeah, I mean, she does like a proxy hatchery now. Next game, it might be just a flood of lings, you know, vast speed lings to cancel that command center, at least throw him off. Like, whether it's an all-in or not, something to throw him off, because she's generally the one that's going to be better, like, at being thrown off. Yeah. I'd say usually if you're the type of player that's a little bit weird, a little bit funky, do some weird builds, when other people try and do it to you, you're generally the one that's going to be okay. You know what I mean? So MaSa's definitely more well-known for being the solid mechanics guy. Yeah, he can T-Rex every so often, maybe even proxy factory, but I actually think that mostly she'll be okay against that. She has lost against T-Rexes before. But
yeah, I'm sure she has some choice words about T-Rex, Reaper, and all that kind of stuff. T-Rex with Marines.
I mean Reaper, but I'm thinking the Marines GSL group, right?
Yeah, that was one frustrating experience. But that's one thing I do like about MaSa is that I think in terms of control, generally I think of him as being one of the players that has better control. I'm not sure we really got to see. We got to see a little bit of the showcasing of that, just like keeping those SCVs alive. Get the depots alive a lot longer than I feel like most Terran players do.
That's true. He did play really fast and loose, obviously, with that Cyclone. Almost losing it twice, and the third time it was probably going to be game over anyways, but still losing it. So, but yeah, sure. That game was a highlight of Micro, and I think a highlight in the wrong way of just decision making, right? Kind of trying to call a bluff, you know, because the worst thing besides not defending is over-defending. You know, getting 50 bunkers is going to help your late game if they actually do macro.
Yeah, that is absolutely something you don't want to let happen. So you see things like the third CC, and it looks a little bit questionable. It's like, do you not see the units outside of your main base? Do you not see that there was a proxy? But in reality, he's trying to also make sure that he ensures he's going to be prepared for when Scarlett is droning up behind him, which he was doing. So MaSa trying to keep pace with that, and also was probably looking to set up for, hey, after I defend this, I need to think about how I'm going to put counter-aggression on the other side of the map. So the Cyclones or getting out of medevac, getting up to starport, all of those things are also preparation for those next steps.
Yeah, like a good thing is to try and get a medevac and bring all those Cyclones over, but he only ever got one, right? Yeah. So it would have been a long process anyways, and I think that's why she found like comfortability in getting an expansion and then saw the opportunity to kill him. Otherwise, she might have just continued droning and let him very, very slowly push back creep. But yeah, I actually thinking of that map specifically, that build specifically, I even know that I think Rogue has gone for one where he puts it in the top. He actually puts it in the hatchery location in that proxy third.
And then you start mining from it?
He starts mining from it, exactly. Yeah, he actually starts mining from it. It turns into like a 2.5 base situation.
Oh, that's so dirty. But I am looking forward to seeing how things are going to go in game number 2. I really just feel like Scarlett has had MaSa's number in terms of his playstyle and everything. This even happened during the earlier stages, during the groups and everything, where Scarlett did take the 2-0 versus MaSa. And I feel like the way I would describe those games, and I think Penguin agreed with me on this when I was talking to him about it, was it just felt like Scarlett knew what MaSa was going to do and was able to counteract everything that he wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think about the mech games that he tried, and it just was, there's a lot of finesse to playing mech, right? I mean, there's a lot of finesse to StarCraft 2 in general, but especially with some of these newer mech builds, innovation was innovating and perfecting and whatnot that we see a lot of other people try and do, and the Zergs have already kind of been like, all right, we're going to deal with this some way, like it's all going to huddle and talk about this. But yeah, I think that she had like a really good read on what MaSa was going to do, and unfortunately that also applies to his bio as well. But it's best of 5, game number 1's already done. but still potentially 4 games to see a variety of styles.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I do really like when MaSa gets into the mech thing is that he has some fantastic micro those Thors. Maybe we'll get to see a little bit of that. We'll see if the game goes on a little bit longer on Abyssal Reef as we start up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. Tell the pink Zerg player, give it up for Scarlett.
Team expert, Scarlett.
And down in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Terran player. Put your hands together for
OSC Pro MaSa.
All right. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out eventually. But we do actually have a little bit of cheekiness coming out once again from Scarlett.
Yeah, missed the drone going out to build the hatchery last game, but I don't believe we see one. So it is just that one base version, rather than just say the non-proxy hatch version. Because like, is that really a base? Like, I mean, it produces larvae. But yeah, just back at home producing here. And if MaSa doesn't build a Reaper, if he goes straight for a Marine, for instance, but I don't think he usually does. In fact, last game for Reaper, then Marine, right? Yeah. That really helps against those the earlier pools, but not the all-in pools. Again, he took out those Lings. It was the Queen that surprised him and hurt him. But yeah, of course, the second gas came down, and it's going to be a Roach Ravager bust. And if he, for whatever reason, doesn't actually send out a scout, which is probably not sending an SIV scout out, or keeps his Reaper at home, for instance, then she just might get away with this until she's at his front door again.
Oh boy. Well, when will MaSa actually scout this out? He's going for that Reaper, like you said. He's going to be going for the high or the low ground natural. This is one of the big things that we were talking about last game, where if you're able to finish up that natural, things suddenly potentially look a lot better. Your transition point's a lot easier to make out. You also have that extra supply, so when you lose the supply depots, it's not a big of a deal. And of course, you have the mules that help. All of these things help out quite a bit, but it is going to be the question, will he actually get that opportunity? Scarlett is sending the Lings around the corners of the map to try and avoid the Reaper, try and make sure they don't get detected, but that's going to give the SIV a bit more time to actually build things. And MaSa, he's moving around with the Reaper in a bit of a less orthodox location. He finds the Lings. This is huge.
Nice timing there. I thought he was barely going to miss it, but even finding the Lings still delays the Reaper scout for a second. She's trying to buy as much time as possible, and he's going to have to go around that long way, but he will hopefully be able to see the Ravagers in transit. Of course, if he doesn't see that, he's going to see the lack of the hatchery again. By that point in time, though, he might have already started a couple of Hellions. The timing's actually going to be really close here for what he's going to do with that factory, but he should slap it back down immediately and try and get a Cyclone. He does see it.
Does see the Ravagers, and he knows exactly what's coming, and the bunkers are already going up back at home.
Yeah, that was preemptive, actually. I think that was before you even saw the Ravagers. So the one on the low ground might just be a time buyer, but the good news for this game is that his command center does, in fact, finish, so he can just lift that and not have to worry about potentially being supply blocked or just even go for a third CC. I'd be surprised if he did that again, but it is just that time buyer.
Okay, raises supply depots, prevents the Ravagers from moving in, although I think that the reactor's going to be really, really vulnerable in here, so it's going to cut into that Marine production a little bit, pulling a lot of SCVs to try and help deal with this. The bunker on the low ground still technically there. He hasn't actually canceled that, but it is going to end up falling. No cancel on it either.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's trying to do this without the Cyclone, but now the Cyclone is out. He's got an OK number of Marines, but Scarlett can actually pick those out for micros on point. Actually, the Cyclone took the wrong turn and almost dies. Has to be mass repair, but that's just it. GG.
Scarlett takes a clean 2-0 sweep over MaSa in kind of an unexpectedly short series. Zombie Grove, I was really hyped for this, but man, that was really quick.
Yeah, I'm kind of question marking here. I did mention, of course, that these guys, they aren't putting in the 20-hour days preparing for BlizzCon. Their season is kind of over, but they still usually perform quite well in the online cups and tournaments. And it's so weird to see MaSa die to. But
it is still a best of 5, so there is still one more opportunity for MaSa, I believe. But this is definitely going to be really difficult. Losing 2 games like that, in that fashion, is probably one of the most tilt-inducing things. And MaSa, I feel like, you mentioned this before, he is a very mentally stable player, I think, in a series. So I think that he can still bounce back from this. He's done, I think, more ridiculous things and come back in this kind of series, but it's hard.
Yeah, well, for me, it's and we talked about this, I think, in the last Kings of the North broadcast that we did together, where, his mentality, it's a little bit different. It's not inconsistent between game, or how do we put it? How did we put it exactly?
It's in between games, he's actually very stable.
Very,
he doesn't
very
get
stable,
tilted by individual games, but as a whole.
Days, on different days, sometimes he's a little off than others, right? In games like those, where it's just 2 back-to-back immediately to kind of roughly the same thing, even though he expected it, that's when you're oh, is this just a bad day? It's just one of those days. Oh, that could be bad news.
Yeah, especially I think it's hard to tell because some days also, I mean, I think every StarCraft player is like this. Some days you just feel like playing a particular style, you feel like playing a particular way, and if today MaSa's like, you know what, I'm really feeling, you know, my Thor medevac micro with a mech player or something like that. You're thinking about all these late game things. You're thinking, especially versus a player like Scarlett, you have to have that mid and late game plan because if you don't, you're in a lot of trouble versus a world-class player like Scarlett. But when she just chases you out in the first 2 games, you're just thinking like, I have to get past this first hurdle. Like this is clearly becoming a problem.
And it's so weird because MaSa, this is not the first time he's gone up against someone who does this to him, you know, whether it's the proxy hatchery or the one-base version. I would say the one-base version that we just saw is really quite popular. It's just something about it is throwing him off, you know, just this one thing or another, and he can't quite get it. Maybe he's used to facing people that don't have the micro to snipe his Marines, or I'm not even sure, because first games can always be excused, right? It was just like, you know, he didn't see it, like warm-up game, it was a proxy, like, but the second game, he had a feeling. He was already building a bunker. He was like, she's doing something, but maybe, again, he thought it was the expand version instead of like the super all-in version. I don't know.
Well, it's worth noting that Steadfast is still not entirely wrong just yet. He did predict a 3-2 in favor of MaSa. So now Steadfast, I hope that you're cheering on your boy MaSa right now because he's got to win 3 games in a row to come back in this best of 5. It's worth noting this is in the winner's bracket for those who don't know. So even if he loses, he will just be dropping down to that loser's bracket, which is never fun. It's never really a good feeling when you drop down to the loser's bracket because you're suddenly like the pressure is on all of a sudden. And you have to play more games to make it to that grand finals, but it's still possible.
But it's still something to look for. Like it's something to continue on for, I suppose. Like, especially depending on how you look at the lower bracket. I mean, say you went into this and thought, like, you know what, Scarlett's actually, she got me for the Swiss group, so I'm actually a little scared to play up against her. Who do I face if I lose?
Yeah.
I mean, there are certainly some things to be said against thinking like that, but there's some things to be said in positive for that mentality, prepare for the future.
Yeah, for those who are wondering, we have 2 players in the lower bracket right now. It's going to be Semper and Jim Rising, so I believe you'll be playing versus one of those 2.
Well, definitely one of those
Definitely
2.
one of those 2.
I don't know if it's possible.
I'm like 85% sure right now. I think that's how double elimination brackets work.
That's amazing then. Yeah, I didn't check to see who's falling down either. But if he had already prepared, then maybe he's already thinking about the future. But I find that so difficult to believe, you know. As Penguin brought up, he actually, the 5 series before the Kings of the North, he actually was doing fine. If not great against Scarlett. So to actually have, like, imagine he's in like a really terrible mindset right now would be shocking.
I think when you're talking about this with mindset and everything, which I think is such a huge part of MaSa's play and what mindset he's in. And sometimes he's on an absolute tear. We're talking about Atlanta, we're talking about Valencia qualifiers or Challenger. Sometimes he's just not quite showing up, but we'll see what's going to happen as we hop into this game. Game number 3, spawning up in the top right-hand corner of the map. We have the blue Terran player. Give it up for
OSC Pro MaSa.
MaSa. All right, and spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the pink Zerg player. Put your hands together for Scarlett.
Team expert Scarlett.
Also beautiful is a natural,
you are a Terran to the core.
Oh, yes.
You're about to say these proxies are beautiful.
Yeah, they are. In fact, I don't think it's a
They're dirty.
He has brought another SIV forward. He still hasn't taken a gas geyser, so it might just be a good old Forax.
Oh.
Yeah, first developed in Legacy of the Void Beta, it has stayed a rather usual bad build, to be honest. The first 2 years.
Sometimes to beat a world-class player, you need a bad build. That's actually something I feel like I've learned about StarCraft.
Okay. Well, yeah, just mass DTs, somehow it'll work.
Hey, you know what? It almost worked.
Yes, but not for that Spire in your face.
If not for the fact that my opponent built a Spire against semi-national. But for those who are wondering, this is going to be a lot of Marines. Bunkers are probably built over that natural, trying to put the pressure on. Trying to take the aggression over to Scarlett's side of the map. This game, Scarlett is not going for one of those Ravager all-ins, which I actually feel like, would possibly kind of helpful over here because you just have the earlier spawning pool and everything.
It is so weird. I love watching games with Chief versus Cheese. Like, what wins? The Roach Ravager run or Forax Reaper? Marine. I think the Ravagers would naturally outrange.
Yeah, they outrange them and just allow her to even get up the faster spawning pool so that you would have those units out a little bit faster and those 2 links would be helpful early on. But okay, Overlord moving into that direction. Scarlett is going to be able to scout this out. The Marines have been spotted, but now that the Marines have been spotted by that Overlord will likely die, putting Scarlett a little bit further back.
that is true. That's one of the important things about scouting for the 2-rax or the 4-rax, is that if you don't quite get the right timing on it, they'll see it as well and kill it. So that's a little bit nice for MaSa, but I think he would have preferred the surprise factor being Acolyte. He really would have had the surprise factor on his side. Now he's mentally prepared, trying to pull that spine crawler in the front. Natural might be a little bit
Okay, he's getting on top of that spine crawler. It's going to get gunned down very quickly as there we go. There's the target fire. It gets canceled immediately. Queen able to survive, but not that very
What's up, guys? No Regret here, coming at you with the losers interview, appropriately named after that series. I'm just kidding. I love you, Maru. How are you feeling after that? Not much. Feeling not much. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's understandable. Yeah. So it seems like Scarlett had a bit of a game plan going in. So she noticed your the way you wall off on Ascension, the double supply depot. That kind of came back and bit you a little bit. Are you gonna change it up at all? Do you think? You're still gonna do it? All right. So if Sasha is listening, Maru's still gonna do that. So just do the same thing again. Bit of mind games coming in, maybe.
Why defend the natural in the second game? Did you think it was like?
Let's just break down everything you did wrong.
First of all, I saw the links, so I was thinking it might be Ravagers, but that took me 10 seconds to process in my brain. My brain is actually dead.
Got it.
So.
Okay,
my
so.
bunker was late.
But you scouted the Ravagers with the Reaper, right?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
He did.
I
saw
the
the tail.
but you didn't see it, right?
I saw the tail, and I didn't know if it was Ling or Ravager.
That's just unfortunate.
And then it took maybe a few more seconds to realize, oh, it's actually Ravager.
That's not unexpected, I guess.
So hopefully the bunker build time buff will come through by the time you play Scarlett next series. If it doesn't, maybe we'll get you some coffee, get you freshened up, have you ready to go, turn the brain on.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, that was my warm-up game, so.
Yeah, of course. What do you think about your chances this tournament? Obviously, that was your warm-up game. We've seen you. You're a lot better than that. Because I think you're going to be...
it's more dramatic if you crawl up from the losers bracket. And
look at this guy building a storyline.
Strategy, got it.
Yeah.
Wow. And so your next opponent is going to be Jim Rising, I believe. What do you think about that? Obviously, Jim Rising, a very different player than Scarlett.
I'm just going to proxy Rex.
Awesome. You heard it here first.
Jim, are you out there?
He's playing.
Oh, he's playing. Okay, he's going to proxy Rex you. Watch the VODs.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have enough to say here. I think it was a pretty unfortunate series. A lot of designated pressures. You know, not much you can do. It's their Ximba, right?
Nah, no pressure. It's just my brain dead.
Okay, his brain was dead.
Yeah.
So we'll buff MaSa's brain, nerf Zerg for next series, and I think you can come back.
I saw him like napping. You were just napping everywhere, weren't you?
Yeah, a little tuckered out.
He like
poor little guy.
Moved from multiple different places, just sleeping, kind of like a cat, you know?
Yeah.
Just
I think actually Maru is a lot like a cat in many ways.
I think we need to get a big box and just lay it out there somewhere.
Yeah, put some stuff on the table for him to knock
yeah,
off.
we'll throw it off to that winner with Ravi Parek.
Ravi, his name. Ravi.
Yep.
Ravi Parek, apparently, and I'm joined by the one and only Queen of the North, Scarlett. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
So you just took a really, really quick 3-0. Why was that series so fast? Do you just seem to know what MaSa's going to do? Do you know how to deal with him?
Oh, well, I felt like playing aggressive. I saw him sleeping before the series. We had to wake him up for vetoes, so wanted to catch him off guard. Thought it would work out. And then I was actually talking to my friend during the series in between games. And before game 3, I'm like, well, he's just going to proxy RX me this game, so I'll go scout it and then kill him.
Well, it seems like you just have a perfect read on him, then, like completely.
Yeah, I mean, he usually does the same thing in our series. He likes proxying. As he said, he's going to do it against Jim Rising. I think every game I've played him on Acolyte, he's done the same 4x proxy in the same spot. And I asked him after the series, I'm like, I knew you were going to do it. You always do it to me on that. He's like, oh, I do? And he completely forgot that he always does it against me. So.
Well, I also heard that you had a very interesting kind of bet or something, whatever you want to call it, with me.
Oh, yeah, I was just asking him, like, if he'll make the next series, if he can beat my time, if he can win faster than I did.
In the sense that he has to defeat his opponent, who's going to be Jon Snow, faster than you just beat MaSa.
Yeah, in game time, so like 12 minutes-ish. He has to beat that record.
All right, so you feel pretty confident that Beeb is going to end up advancing on over Jon Snow?
I would be surprised about anything else, yes.
How do you feel about that potential matchup of you versus me?
It's really hard. I used to beat him all the time in like qualifiers and such, but that's because he really wouldn't react to the fact that he was playing me, and he would just die to the same all-ins over and over and over. But I don't think that happens anymore, so it'll be a hard match. I think he's better than me for sure right now.
Okay. Well, humor me for a moment. Let's say that the King of the North, Jon Snow, ends up advancing on. You know, that's what Jon Snow is, right? He's the King of the North?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say he wins. How would you feel about that matchup?
I played him in Ting the other day. I played some Protoss. It was a close series, but I think I play Protoss again here. If I play him, maybe not as close as last time.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, Scarlett. Do you have any kind of final words for anyone, any of your fans out there?
Just thanks to everyone for watching the tournament. I love that there's a Canada tournament that's like unique, Kings of the North. I think this is my 3rd time coming here, and it's always a great time. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Scarlett. Guys, we're going to hop into a short little break, I believe, or hopping over to the analyst test. One of the two. I think it's actually going to be a commercial break, so we'll see you guys in just a little bit with more Kings of the North. Next series coming up is going to be Neve versus Jon Snow.